The title School Hard is a play on the movie Die Hard, where Bruce Willis is trapped in a skyscraper with a bunch of terrorists crawling through vents. This episode is so important. It introduces us to Spike and Drusilla, it gives us some backstory on Angel and a further glimpse into his past. It throws the season's themes into the spotlight. Definitely one of my favorites in all of Season 2. Schneider puts Buffy and Sheila, another problem student, in charge of the parent-teacher conference prep, and Xander promptly jinxes the event.
As long as nothing really bad happens between now and then, you'll be fine.
The Anointed One and his followers are scheming about how to kill the Slayer. One of the elders suggests that they should do it during the night of St. Vigius. I was curious what the significance was of that particular night, and found that during the 3 nights preceding the night of St. Vigius, vampires prepared by practicing fasting, self-mortification, and reciting chantings in order to reach the night of St. Vigius in a nearly berserker state. This scene is strangely symbolic of the problem the show has had with villains. We have a room full of charisma-free vampires, including the very dull Anointed One, and then in come the vampire lovers, Spike and Drusilla. In one scene, the two of them are immediately more interesting than any of the previous baddies on the show because they are complex. Spike more than Drew here, but she gets her due later in the season. Spike is a murderer who revels in his violence but shows tenderness and care with Drew, who is suffering from some sort of affliction.
You shouldn't be walking around. You're weak.
He demonstrates an interest in strategy and planning by stalking Buffy, and then later succumbs to his own impulsiveness. Like Buffy, torn between competing desires and unwilling to just toe the line and play the role of Slayer, Spike represents a mirror equal to her. And whether accidental or on purpose, Drew slashes Spike's cheek, drawing a red line of blood. And later, Buffy appears with a red line of paint on her face. So Spike and Drew ask to move into the vampire nest, and he says he'll kill the Slayer.
I'll chop her into messes.
Holy, this is one of the more graphic, shocking lines in Shakespeare that I'm aware of. Spike is quoting Othello. In the scene from the play, Iago has convinced Othello that Othello's wife Desdemona is cheating on him, and in a jealous rage, Othello says he's going to chop the woman he loves into messes. In this case, Spike is talking about Buffy. Buffy's mom finds out about parent-teacher night and uses one of the deadliest words a parent can use on their child.
What I don't want is to be disappointed in you again.
Buffy goes to the bronze with the gang and doesn't notice Spike stalking her from the edge of the dance floor. He baits Buffy into a fight with another vampire to take in her fighting style.
A steak would be nice!
Consider the items Xander pulls out of Buffy's purse. The yo-yo, a children's toy, a tampon, representing her sexual maturity, or this season, and a steak, representing adulthood. Anyway, Spike tells Buffy she's in trouble on Saturday and runs off. Angel warns not to underestimate Spike and wanders off. Vampire affectation, apparently. Spike has captured the other problem student Sheila and, concerned for Drusilla's health, feeds her to her. I love how Drew's vampire makeup is slightly different than Spike's. She looks more sleek, like a jaguar. Parent-teacher night begins, and just as Buffy is about to leave with Joyce and face punishment,
Good Mike.
Spike and the Anointed One's followers begin killing the PTA attendees. The survivors hide and barricade themselves in schoolrooms. Xander goes and gets Angel, who vamps out and appears to betray Xander to Spike's terrorists.
You got a plan? Good plan.
Is it though? I mean, is it really? I mean, okay. Angel was faking and using Xander as a Trojan horse to get close to Spike. And then what? All he's really succeeding in doing is making Xander super vulnerable. I don't get where he was going. Anyway, Spike reveals the relationship Angel and he used to have.
You were my sire, man! You were my Yoda!
Spike seems to be saying that Angel made Spike a vampire. Later it comes out that actually Drusilla made Spike into a vampire. This may seem inconsistent, but in interviews, Whedon has said that sire refers to a vampire's line. So Angel made Drusilla and Drusilla made Spike. According to Whedon rules, if Spike turns someone into a vampire, Angel is also their sire, as is Drusilla. But this little scene is interesting for a few reasons. It's a nice little character building detail that Angel didn't reveal his relationship with Spike earlier to the gang in the library. Emotionally, Angel is a block of wood, so his character building moments require a deeper look. He feels horror and shame over who he was before soul restoration. I read his not telling the gang about his relationship with Spike as further embarrassment over what he once was. Anyway, Spike's minions chase after Angel, and Buffy uses this opportunity to confront Spike.
Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of a nice, ripe girl.
So the entire thrust of this season is all about sex and consequences. Nearly everything Spike has to say in this scene has a double meaning that relates to that theme. He talks about smelling her blood. He's holding a giant phallus. Buffy asks if they need weapons, and Spike says they make him feel manly.
I'll make it quick. It won't hurt a bit.
Anyway, Spike nearly wins before Joyce clocks him with an axe. He runs off, and we find out apparently Snyder knows more about what's happening in Sunnydale than he lets on.
You want the usual story? Gang-related, PCP?
What you have in mind, the truth?
Spike returns to the Anointed One's lair and takes a half-hearted stab at an apology for ruining St. Vigius and getting a bunch of vampires killed. Then he remembers he's Spike, and instead kills the Anointed One by forcing him into sunlight. I like to think of this as the writers having a moment of clarity. The Anointed One never did anything. He was a symbol, not a character. Spike throwing him into the light struck me as the writer's way of saying never again. I actually giggled when it happened. If Season 1 was about Buffy accepting the role of Slayer, and metaphorically the path to growing up, then once she had done that, the Anointed One didn't serve any purpose to the story anymore. There's so much I love about this episode that I really can't offer an objective opinion about it, if there is such a thing. Spike and Drew are incredibly important characters within the Buffyverse, and much of my love for this episode is based on foreknowledge of where Buffy and its spin-off Angel take the two of them. I can't see this episode as a new Buffy watcher might, but I believe their introduction is a shot in the arm the series needed. Brilliant in every way.